The energy was electric the moment Tom Hardy walked onto The View. Dressed in a sleek navy jacket with that signature rugged charm, he greeted the panel with a polite but restrained smile. The audience welcomed him with raucous applause. After all, this was Tom Hardy, the brooding star of Mad Max and Venom, known for his raw authenticity and unpredictable edge. Whoopi Goldberg kicked things off with a light question about his latest film, hoping to keep the tone fun and breezy. Tom relaxed a little, talking about the gritty role he played and the mental preparation it required. Sarah Haynes chimed in with admiration for his method acting. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. Then came Joy Behar. Her tone changed the air in the studio. Tom, you recently said in a magazine interview that the entertainment industry has gotten too soft and afraid to offend. What exactly did you mean by that? Hardy's jaw tightened, but he remained calm. I meant exactly what I said. Art, to me, should challenge people, not play it safe just to make everyone comfortable. Joy pressed on. But don't you think there's a reason for that? Isn't part of progress making sure we're not harming people with outdated messages? Tom leaned forward slightly, voice lower. There's a difference between evolving and sanitizing. You can't make real art by walking on eggshells. A murmur ran through the studio. The audience, usually on Joy's side, suddenly seemed split. The camera cut briefly to Whoopi, whose expression betrayed the tension. Sarah looked visibly uncomfortable. Joy tilted her head and said, "But Tom, that's easy for you to say. You're not part of any marginalized community. You're not the one who's ever been silenced." Tom didn't flinch, but something in his eyes darkened. I grew up in East London. Violence, addiction, poverty. You don't know my story, Joy. And I sure as hell wasn't handed anything. Joy didn't back down. That's not the same as systemic discrimination. Just because you had a tough time doesn't mean you understand what others go through every day. He laughed once, dry and sharp. So now my struggles don't count because they're not the right kind. Producers in the control booth were on edge, cutting cameras fast between reactions, unsure whether to step in or let it ride. Sarah tried to de-escalate. Maybe we're getting off topic. But Joy interrupted. No, we're on the exact topic. People like Tom want to complain about cancel culture, but what they really want is to say whatever they want without consequence. Tom sat back in his chair and said flatly, "No, what I want is conversation without hostility. And I'm not going to sit here while you twist my words to fit your narrative." The audience gasped. A long pause followed. Then, without warning, Tom stood up. "This isn't a conversation anymore. It's a setup." Joy crossed her arms. "If you can't take a little heat, maybe you're in the wrong business." He pulled off his mic, eyes locked on Joy. "I've taken more heat than you'll ever know. And trust me, this table isn't worth the burn." Whoopi half rose from her seat, trying to intercept, but Tom was already turning toward the exit. The cameras followed him until he disappeared off stage, leaving behind stunned silence and the most awkward break in The View's history. The show cut to commercial with the image of Joy Behar blinking furiously, arms crossed, while the audience sat frozen in disbelief. Tom Hardy stormed past the camera crew, brushing off the makeup assistant who tried to hand him a towel. His jaw was clenched, his eyes dark with fury. One of the senior producers jogged after him, calling out, "Tom. Just give us a second, maybe we can smooth this over." But Hardy didn't stop. "You booked me for a conversation, not an ambush," he barked, throwing open the green room door. He grabbed his phone, ignored the flood of texts and missed calls already rolling in, and called his publicist. Inside the studio, the remaining panelists sat in stunned silence as the show returned from commercial break. Whoopi cleared her throat, trying to recenter the energy. "Well, that just happened." Joy Behar, however, was not ready to move on. "I don't regret anything I said," she stated firmly, her arms crossed. If he can't answer a tough question without storming off, maybe he shouldn't be doing press at all. Sarah Haynes glanced at the teleprompter, but the script had been abandoned. They were off the rails now, and the control room let it ride. This was gold, for better or worse. Viewers at home were already flooding social media with reactions. Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram lit up within minutes. The hashtags #TomHardyWalkOff, #TheViewMeltdown, and #JoyVsTom began trending globally. Clips of the confrontation were shared, memed, analyzed, and debated in real time. Even late-night talk show writers paused their meetings. This was the kind of spontaneous drama they lived for. By the afternoon, every major entertainment outlet had published a version of the story. TMZ ran with Hardy vs. Behar, the clash no one saw coming. While Variety's take was more restrained, Hardy walks off The View in heated exchange over cancel culture. Fox News praised Hardy's bravery to speak out, while MSNBC sided with Behar, calling her a pillar of accountability. But the real drama exploded when Tom Hardy broke his silence just hours later. He posted a black and white photo of himself walking away from the set, back turned to the camera. The caption read, "Authenticity matters. I won't be boxed in by narratives that don't reflect my truth. Talk shows should invite conversation, not condemnation." The post racked up 2 million likes within an hour. Celebrities began weighing in. Ricky Gervais commented, "Welcome to the club." Denzel Washington liked the post but said nothing. Meanwhile, Joy Behar went on CNN that evening and defended her position. "There's a difference between having a different opinion and refusing to be challenged," she said. "I've been in this chair for over 20 years, and I've seen a lot of egos walk through that door." This wasn't new, but producers at The View were quietly panicking behind the scenes. Advertisers had started calling, asking for explanations. An internal memo leaked to the press, revealing that Hardy had been, unofficially blacklisted, from returning to the show. "We want voices, not volatility," it read. Still, public opinion remained fiercely divided. Hardy's fanbase surged in support, many praising him for standing his ground. Joy's defenders argued that journalists, and talk show hosts, had a duty to ask the hard questions. The clash had tapped into something deeper, a cultural divide over free speech, media accountability, and the blurred lines between celebrity interviews and political ambushes. That weekend, Hardy canceled his remaining press appearances, retreating from the public eye. Paparazzi caught him boarding a flight to London, where sources said he planned to regroup and refocus. Joy, meanwhile, returned to The View Monday morning with a wry smile and no mention of the incident, until the closing segment, when she winked at the camera and said, "Some guests walk in like lions and leave like kittens. But we're always ready for round two." Whether it was a warning or an invitation, no one could tell. But what everyone knew for sure was this: the walk-off wasn't just a moment, it was a movement. And the echoes of that clash would ring through Hollywood's walls for weeks to come.